हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू आवर यूट्यूब चैनल। और आज का जो हम टॉपिक डिस्कस करेंगे वो है काउंसिल ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स लक्ष्मीकांत से। Unacademy UPSC Championship 2.0 has already started, and we are providing you with all India free mock test series of UPSC CSE Prelims 2020 to 21 Paper 1 JS. You will also get a chance to meet UPSC CSE 2019 toppers, top Unacademy educators, and subscription scholarship also along with this. So, and it was, as we all know, that it was conducted on 30th August, 6th September, 13th September, 20th September, and it will be conducted on 27th September. So this is the last date, and you don't, if you have missed all the opportunities, so this is the last opportunity to enroll for the championship, UPSC Championship 2.0. As we know that we have 10 days left for our exam preparation. So if you want to brush up some of your concepts, or you want to clear your doubts, then you can start with UPSC CSE 2020 preparation with Unacademy. Now this one subscription has like unlimited benefits, like you can learn from your home, you have unlimited access to all courses, you have top educators, full syllabus coverage, double doubt during session, live test series, and study materials is also available in the form of PDF format, so you don't need to write anything. We have proper answer writing session under our mentor and guidance. This is also a one-stop solution for your complete UPSC CSE preparation. We have structured batches with top educators, batches in Hindi, English, bilingual, late night, as well as 2-year batches. Full 100% syllabus coverage, vast range of optional prelims test series with evaluation and main test series with evaluation. We have dedicated doubt clearing classes also, and we have daily current affair practice, and along with that we're also providing with essay and answer writing practice, and you will also get your performance analysis along with your interview preparation, which is like really essential for every UPSC aspirant. We have 4 complete batches, and it will start from 21st September 2020. We have UPSC CSE 2021 batch, that is the first batch is completely in bilingual, in which the medium of instruction would be in Hindi, English both. The second batch is in Hindi completely, and the medium of instruction would be Hindi, and study material would be provided to every student in Hindi. And then we have third batch, and this batch is the medium of instruction is English, and you can enroll for this batch whoever is comfortable with English language. Then we have UPSC CSE 2022 batch, in which we have complete English GS batch course. So we have these 4 complete batch, and if you're really interested, you can enroll in this batch. Now we have ultimate revision booster prelims batch course also. Under this we have 2 different batches. The first is the ultimate revision booster for all the prelims for 2020, that is bilingual, and the second is the ultimate revision booster for prelims in English. So we don't have any Hindi batches in this, but we have in bilingual and English, so this will really help you. And this is completely free for we have free live classes from Monday to Friday, and the duration is for like 5th September to 30th September, and we have sectional quizzes also over here. Now if you subscribe now, you will get 10% off, so you just need to apply this code SIMPLYT. Now we are also providing you with daily current affair test series that is completely free, and it will be given on your daily basis for 7:30 p.m. You will get 20 questions for 20 minutes, and it will consist of 40 marks, and you will get your test analysis also along with this. So you will get percentile also in your performance, so this will really help you to improve your marks. And if you really like our channel, then you can subscribe on YouTube, Telegram, and Facebook, in whichever social networking site you are active on. So let's start. As we know, the Constitution of India basically provides us a parliamentary form of government in every state on a union pattern. And the Council of Ministers is basically headed by the Chief Minister, that is the real executive authority in the politico administrative system of a state. Now, the Council of Ministers in every state is also constituted and function in the same way as the Council of Ministers at the center. Now, the principles of all the parliamentary government are basically not detailed in the constitution, but the two articles like article 163 and 164 that deal with the broad and sketchy and in general manner about this principles of parliamentary system of government. Now article 163 basically deals with the council of ministers, while the article 164 deals with the appointment, tenure, responsibility, qualification, oath, salary, allowances of every minister. Now the constitutional provisions. So under article 163, as we know of council, basically it talks about the council of ministers that will aid and advise our governor. Now there shall be a council of ministers with the chief minister also as the head of the as a head to aid, and and advises the governor in the exercise of his function, except insofar as he is required to exercise his function in his discretion. Now, the second point over here is that if we have any question that arises whether a matter falls within the governor's discretion or not, then the decision of governor shall be final, and the validity of anything done by the governor shall not be called in the question on the ground that he ought or not ought to have acted in his discretion. The third point over here is that the advice that is tendered by the ministers to the governor shall not also be inquired into any of the court. Now article 164 basically talks about all the other provisions as to ministers. The chief minister shall also be like appointed by the governor, and other minister that shall be appointed by the governor on the advice of chief minister. However, we can see that in the states of Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and Odisha, there shall be a minister in charge of tribal welfare also, who in addition be charge of the welfare of all scheduled caste on backward classes or any other work. Now, in this, the state of Bihar was excluded from the provision by the 94th Amendment of 2006, and the total number of ministers including the chief ministers in the council of ministers in a state shall also not exceed 15% of the total strength of the legislative assembly of the state, but the number of ministers that are including the chief minister and the state shall not also be less than 12. So the provision that was added by the 91st Amendment Act to the 91st Amendment Act of 2002. Now, the fourth point over here is that we can see that the minister shall basically hold the office during the pleasure of the governor, and the council of ministers shall also be collectively responsible to the state legislative assembly. The governor shall administer the oaths of office and secrecy to a minister, and a minister who is not a member of any state legislature for period of 6 consecutive months shall cease to be a minister. And the salaries and allowances of all the ministers shall also be determined by the state legislature itself. Now, under article 166, basically talks about the conduct of business of government of a state. So over here, the all executive action of government of state shall also be expressed to be taken in the name of the governor, and the orders and other instruments made and the executive in the name of the governor shall also be authenticated in such manners as specified in the rules that needs to be made by the governor. Further, we have seen that the validity of an order or instrument which is also authenticated shall also not be called into question on the ground that this is not an order or the instrument that needs to be made or executed by the governor. And the third point over here is that now we can talk that about the governor should also make rules for more convenient transaction of business of government of the state, and for the allocation among the ministers that has been to be that are said to be business, insofar that it is not a business with respect to which the governor is required to act in his own discretion. Now, Article 167 tries to is basically about the duties of a chief minister. It shall be the duty of chief minister of each state first to communicate to the governor of the state that all decision of the council of minister that are relating to the administration of the affairs of the state and all the proposals for legislation. The second point over here is that basically they want to furnish like some of the information that is related to the administration of affairs of the state, or like certain proposals for the legislature as the governor may call for. And the third point over here is that if the governor basically requires to submit for a consideration of a council of minister like any matter on which a decision like has been taken by a minister but which has not been considered by the council. And the article 177 talks about the rights of ministers as respect the houses of every minister shall also have the right to speak and take part in the proceedings of the assembly and also the council where it exists and any committee of the state legislature of which he may be named as a member, but he shall not be entitled to vote over there. Now let's talk about what is the nature of advice by minister. So under article 163 we can basically provide it for a council of ministers with the chief minister as being the head to the eight, and he tries to advise the governor in exercise of the functions like except the discretionary ones. Now if any question like arises whether a matter basically falls within the governor's discretion or not, the decision of governor is basically final and the validity of anything done under him cannot be also taken into question on the ground that he ought or not to have acted on the discretion. Now further we can see the nature of advice that has been given to him by various ministers to the governor cannot also be inquired, but the provision emphasizes on the intimate and the confidential relationship between the governor and the ministers. Now, in 1971, the Supreme Court ruled that a council of ministers must always exist to advise the governor even after the dissolution of the state legislative assembly or any resignation of a council of ministers, and hence the existing ministry basically may continue in the office until like his successor assumes charge. And again in 1974 the court tries to clarify that except in the spheres where the governor is basically acting in his discretion, the governor has to act on the aid and try to advise all the council of ministers like in exercise of their powers and function. He is also not required to act personally without anyone asking for the aid or the advice of the council of ministers or against the aid or the advice of council of ministers. Now we can see over here that wherever the constitution requires the satisfaction of of the governor, and the satisfaction is not just for personal satisfaction of the governor but it is for the satisfaction of the council of ministers that we are talking over here. Now how ministers are appointed. Now the chief minister is basically appointed by the governor and other ministers are also appointed by the governor on the advice of chief minister. This indirectly means that the governor can not only appoint only those person as a ministers that who actually are recommended by the chief minister, but there should be a tribal welfare minister in Chhattisgarh like Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha, and originally this provision was applicable to Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha also. Now the 94th amendment as we know that came in 2006 that actually freed Bihar from the obligation of having a tribal welfare minister, because as there are no scheduled areas in Bihar now and the fraction of the population of scheduled tribes is also like very small over there, and the same amendment was also like extended to the above provisions to the newly formed states like Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand also. Now, usually the members of the state legislature, like either by the legislative assembly or the legislative council, are appointed as ministers, and the person who is like not a minister of either house of the state legislature can also be appointed as a minister. But within the 6 months, he must also become a member, like either by election or by any nomination of either of houses of the state legislature, or otherwise he tried to cease to be a minister. And a minister who is like a member of one of the houses of the state legislature has also the right to speak, and take part in the proceedings of other house, but he can also vote only in the house in which he is a member. Now let's talk about the oath and the salary of ministers. Now before a ministers try to ensure upon like his office, and the governor basically administers to him the oath of office and secrecy. In his oath of office, the minister like swears that first that to bear like the true faith and allegiance to the constitution of India. Second is basically to uphold the sovereignty and integrity of our country. Then third is that to faithful and consequently like discharge all the duties of office. Then with the fourth point over here, about the fourth point over here is that basically to do the right to all the manner of people in accordance with the constitution and the law, without any fear or like favor or affection or ill will. Now in this oath of secrecy, the minister also swears that he will like not directly or indirectly communicate or reveal to any person the any matter that is brought under his consideration that becomes to known him as a state minister, except as he may require to for the due discharge of duties as a minister. Now the salary and allowances of minister are basically determined by the state legislature from time to time, and the minister gets the salary and allowances which are basically payable to a member of the state legislature. And additionally he's also gets some allowances like according to his rank, free accommodation, traveling allowances, medical facilities, and etc., like every minister can get. Now what are the basic responsibility of every minister? The first, the funder principle that is underlying in the working of parliamentary system of government is that the principle of the collective responsibility. And article 164 basically clearly states that the council of ministers has this collectively responsible to the legislative assembly of the state. This means that all the ministers like over joint responsibility to the legislative assembly for all their acts of omission and commission. They work as a team and swim or sing together. And when the legislative assembly passes a non-confidence motion against a particular council of ministers, then all the minister like have to resign, including those who are from the legislative council also. So alternatively, the council of ministers like can advise the governor to dissolve the legislative assembly, basically on the ground that the house does not represent the views of electorate very faithfully, and calls for proper fresh elections. Now the government also is like the governor is also not obliged the council of ministers that which has lost the confidence of the legislative assembly. Now, the principle of collective responsibility means over here that the cabinet decisions is like bind to all the cabinet ministers and other ministers that if they deferred in the cabinet meeting, and then it is the duty of every minister to stand with the cabinet decision and to support them both like within and outside the state legislature. If the minister disagrees with the cabinet decision and is not able to prepare to defend it, then like he must resign. And there are like several ministers have basically resigned in the past owing to all the differences like with the cabinet. And what's the individual responsibility, as we have mentioned in article 164, that all contains the principle of individual responsibility, and that the state minister basically hold office during the pleasure of the governor. This means that basically the governor can remove a minister at a time when the council of ministers basically enjoys the confidence of the legislative assemblies, but the governor can also remove a minister only on the advice of chief minister. Now, in case of any difference of opinion or dissatisfaction with the performance of a minister, the chief minister can also like ask him to resign and advise the governor to dismiss him. Like by exercising this power, the chief minister can also like ensure the realization of rule of like collective responsibility. Now there is like no legal responsibility, like as the center, that there are no provision for the constitution that has been clearly mentioned for the system of legal responsibilities of the ministers in the state, and it is not required that an order of the governor for a public act should be like counter signed by a minister. And therefore like moreover the courts are like barred from inquiring into the nature of advice that has been rendered by the ministers to the government, to the governor also. Now let's talk about the composition of Council of Ministers. Now the constitution basically does not specify the size of the state council of ministers or the ranking of the ministers. Basically they are determined by the chief minister, like according to the exigencies of the time and all the requirement of the situation. Like at the central government, like in the states too, the council of ministers are basically consist of three categories. The three category of ministers: the cabinet ministers, the minister of state, and the deputy minister. Now the difference between them basically lies in the respective ranks and their salaries and their political importances also. And at the top we can see that all these ministers basically stands the chief minister, that is the supreme governing authority in every state. And the cabinet ministers tries to basically heads the important departments of state government, like home, education, finance, agriculture, and etc. Now these members of cabinet basically they try to attend its meetings, and basically they play a very important role in deciding the policies, and therefore their responsibilities like has been extended over the uh, entire process of the state government. Now the ministers of state like can be either independent charge of their departments, or they can be attached to any cabinet ministers. But however, they are not the members of cabinet, and they don't attend the cabinet meetings unless they're specially like invited when something is related to their departments and are considered by the cabinet itself. Now next in rank are the deputy ministers. Now, basically, they are not given independent charge of departments, but they are attached to the cabinet minister and assist them in their like every administrative and political and parliamentary duties. They are not the members of cabinet, and they do not like attend cabinet meetings. But at times, the council of minister may also like include a deputy chief minister, and a deputy chief ministers like are appointed mostly for the local political reasons. Now let's talk about cabinet. So a cabinet is basically a smaller body. Called for a cabinet is basically a nucleus of the council of minister, and it consists of only the cabinet minister, and it is a real center of authority in the state government. And it tries to perform the following role: like first, that it is the highest decision making authority in the political administrative system of a state. Then it is the chief policy, basically therefore for formulating the body of the state government. And the third is that they are like supreme executive authority of the state government, and it is the chief coordinator of the state administration also. And it is an advisory body to every to the governor also. And the chief of like crisis manager, and then they try to deal with all the emergency situations under them. And it deals with all the major legislative and financial matters as well. And it tries to exercise all the control like over the higher appointments of constitutional authorities and the senior secretariat administrators. Now let's talk about the Cabinet Committee. Now the committee basically works through various committees, that is also known as the cabinet committees, and there are two types. One is the standing and ad hoc. We have actually discussed in our some videos about the standing and ad hoc committee, and the former are basically their former are of a permanent nature, while the latter are basically of temporary nature like ad hoc, and they're basically set up by the chief minister like according to their exigencies of the time and the required in the situation, and hence their basically number and nomenclature and composition basically varies from time to time, and they're not only sought for issues or formulate proposals for the consideration of the cabinet, but they also like try to take decisions, but however the cabinet can also like review their decisions also. So we have like finished everything in the council of ministers of states and what are their responsibilities and duties. So if you really like my video, you can like, subscribe and share with everyone. So and thank you so much for listening.